It's very difficult for me to do this because I have a very personal relation and a professional. I when I entered, started shooting, came in the team. He was like the global star. Yeah, so he has been multiple World Cup gold medalist. His Asian Games gold medal 2010. I was there watching him win that. He has been world number one, Olympian. Someone we always looked up to, and someone I was always inspired by. And he's Khel Ratna Awardee, he's Arjuna Awardee, and he has been a DSP in Punjab Police. So someone who has a vast level of experience, and also in coaching, also in infrastructure building. And one of the reasons I think I have him here is because he is someone who has understood entrepreneurship skills in sports, and how you can bring in people, bring in sponsors, bring that change which everyone talks about. Everyone talks about how do you bring in money into the game, and I think he knows how to bring in, and he's very good with that, with very good people. So I'm very happy we have Ronjan ji today. Welcome, Ronjan Sodhi ji.
Thank you, Smit. It's been a long time since I've heard such an introduction. Thank you for having me here, first of all, on this platform. And I feel and I think I'll be able to do justice to all the listeners with their questions.
So I think we'll be a lot of AIPC members will be watching us, and so the whole anyone watching us in the country. And there is, Ronjan ji, I want to start with this. There is usually this feeling people get when they do sports, that their parents don't want them to be professional athletes. That when they go on the ground, even when they are the sports person at the sports ground, they are not the priority. Or how a sports competition is just held. If you see at a village and district level, the VIP nowadays I contested an MLA election, so I eat kaju badam on the stage, and the player never has a chair to sit. We can hold the mic anytime. They never get a chance to speak, though they are the people practicing for years and they have the knowledge.
Smith, I'll be able to answer this. See, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I come from a small town, Firozpur, which all of you know. And, back in the day, due to lack of schools and good education, my father decided that I should go to a boarding school. So I happened to be in Delhi. So, yes, when I was in Delhi, I had the access to the range and everything, all the facilities. But I do agree with you that, in rural India, the facilities are not there. Very difficult to get into any sport, especially a sport like shooting. But nevertheless, from the years that I started shooting, and if we see the facilities now and the amount everybody is doing, whether you talk about the corporate or you talk about the government in the last 15, 20 years, whatever government we've had, they've tried to put in money into the sport. And back in the day, we never had camps, nothing at all. And today, sport is looked at as a very lucrative career option, which wasn't there in my time. Today, the parents are encouraging their children to get into sports because there's money there. There's a lot of recognition there. You spoke about I got a job with the Punjab government. That was because of my sports. And it's not only me. A lot of other sports persons are being benefited by jobs or various things. And there are a lot of sponsors who are coming forward. If you actually see the last 10 years, I would say sports is the only industry which has grown. But it's grown only for the people who are doing well. But how do you do well? How do you get to that league, wherein you win medals for the country? That's a problem. Now today you see, look at the leagues they've started. We started with cricket. Now look at the Kabaddi, look at Kho-Kho League, look at Badminton League, look at table tennis. I mean, so forth and so forth. So it shows a trend which is growing in India. And sport is something which brings everybody together. Today, as we speak, I was just watching India and Pakistan play. And when you came online, you just reminded me of our opener, Rohit Sharma, because you resemble him a little bit. So I was just watching him back. So what is uniting us? Sports. This culture has come about a bit, but there are lots of things which have to be changed. People in our country only look at people who are achievers, Olympic medalists or the world champion or whatever. But what about people on the grassroots level who just play for the district? There has to be more recognition for sports person at that level. Only then we will see India emerging as a sporting nation. Otherwise, we really lack, as far as the grassroots level is concerned, as far as the facilities are concerned. But yes, there has been a positive change over the last few years.
Yeah, Ronjan, I agree with you. And this is true. India is growing as a sporting nation, and you have identified the problem so well. The problem is probably not on the top; it's at the grassroots levels, and everything is lacking. Infrastructure, diet, coaches, everything you think about is lacking. And one of the things I would want to ask you, uh, private capital is also financing champions. So how can private capital be motivated to financing larger groups which may or may not become champions?
Okay, so I'll give you an example of Tata's. Okay, let's talk about Tata's as a company. Back in the day, because Tata was investing in Jamshedpur in Bihar, or Jharkhand, you would say, because of their companies and everything. So they adopted archery as a sport. And so Tata Academy, Archery Academy is still there in Jamshedpur. And they invested a lot in sports so that people from the tribes and all, they come, they gave them jobs, and the kids were trained in archery. And look at where archery is today. I would say the corporates should adopt a sport. Mr. Patnaik has done that with hockey to an extent. I think every state should adopt. Now, Haryana is very good in wrestling, boxing. Punjab is very good in hockey again, or I would say shooting. So if every state can adopt one sport, seeing about the demographics, everything, no, Northeast, I mean, they're good in football. So India has such immense talent in the country, but I feel the government should adopt a sport and then work on that. If you have one state adopting a sport, so the sports science is going to come into the picture. Everything is going to come into the picture. And the states will take pride from that, okay, this girl is from my state. They're doing well. They're winning Olympic medals, or they're winning Asian Games or Commonwealth or whatever, so forth and so forth. So as one state coming together and investing in one particular sport is not something which I will see. Now, for example, if Northeast is adopting basketball, it's not going to work because of the height of most of the regular, the people who are there. And look at some other states, wherein like wrestling is very, very popular in Haryana. So I think sports has to be very centric to the state. That's what I feel.
Yeah. So if I think about this, okay, Punjab adopting shooting, just this example, and already we have a sports policy. We have incentives for medal winners. We have certain private ranges. So if as a state we were to adopt shooting, what would we the 2-3 areas you would want change in? Where do you think money should go? What policy changes should come in if once we adopt a sport?
Yeah, see, Smith, traditionally, Punjab has always done well in shooting. Now look at, from Abhinav Bindras to, Manavjit Sandhu, and so forth and so forth. Hina Sidhu. I mean, so many of them have done well in shooting. And I mean, you can see Punjab team is always winning medals at the national or international level. I'm saying Punjab team because the shooters from Punjab are really doing well. Even in the Olympics, if you see how many shooters from Punjab were there. So what needs to be done is infrastructure. We lack that. We really lack infrastructure, and there's so much. I mean, I can talk about Firozpur. I belong to Firozpur. When I started doing well in shooting, so many other budding shooters came from Firozpur.
Yeah.
So that's what it takes. Now Patiala has a range. So many people have come from there. Just because it's available to them. So I think infrastructure at the rural area, district level is very, very important, which today is lacking in the state of Punjab and also in other states. Like Haryana, for that matter, I'm talking about shotgun. There is no range there. Government doesn't have a shotgun range in Haryana. The proximity to Delhi and, like Gurgaon, Faridabad, Manav Rachna has a private range, but otherwise the government doesn't have. Why? And there's so many promising shooters from Haryana. So I think infrastructure is very badly needed in the sport of shooting and also other sports, I would say.
I think you have said something very, very significant, because Haryana is seen as a state which gives the most money for a medal winner.
Yeah.
And then they lack the basic infrastructure for sports. Yeah. So basically, you find your way in life to win that medal, and then we'll fund you.
That's a problem. That's a problem in this country. How to win that medal? When you win a medal, government is supporting you. They're giving you funding under TOPS. They have Khel India scheme. But how do you get Khel India scheme? There's nothing at the grassroots level. How do you get so that the government looks at you, or the people who are sitting there look at you that, okay, fine, I should fund this athlete for Khel India.
Yeah.
I am part of Khel India scheme. I mean, they just took me in the team as one of the members, I asked them a straight question. I said, you go to Karni Singh range, which is one of the finest ranges in the world, I would say. Commonwealth Games were held here. Asian Games were held in 82. That's when the range was big. But tell me, if a layman goes there and he wants to start shooting, does he get a gun there? Whether it's a rifle or a pistol or a shotgun. So if you have a stadium and the guns are not available, what the hell are you going to do with the stadium? It's like having a football stadium and without football being there.
Yeah.
You have a world, one of the best ranges in the world, and there's no equipment over there. So how does one get into shooting?
So I think coming to the very deep question in this, there is something to do with the social perspective and our political perspective with all these things. Probably our social and political understanding is not to bring change in this. It's like, okay, let's celebrate the medal winner. There is infrastructure. There is a lot of probably information lacking. Because if people were able to understand what you're saying so easily, there would be political force behind this. But no politician goes to election talking about these things. That I will bring dietitians, coaches. But everyone knows if there's a solution to drugs, it's sports. If there is a solution for all the youth, there is sports. And there is a major gap there. How do we make this an issue for the people? How do we make this an issue for a politician?
See, Smith, we don't have to make it an issue. We have to bring about more awareness. Okay, as far as the politicians are concerned, I would like to give them one example. The only thing which gets the entire nation together is sport. Today, the entire nation is watching this India and Pakistan play today. What is it? It's sports. When India won the World Cup back in the day, 2000, I'm forgetting the year.
11.
Everybody was going to India Gate just 11. To celebrate that India won. People from different caste, creed, color, religion, everybody had the India flag in their hands. And they were celebrating the victory of sports, not cricket, the victory of sports. So it brings the entire nation together. This is what we need. We need politicians to come forward and tell them that this is something which unites us. Today, we're just fighting over small issues, whether you talk about religion or anything, something or other comes up. But sports is the only medium which unites. And today, when we go abroad, when we win a medal, when we listen to our national anthem, we all, as Indians, feel so proud. And a flag being hoisted in a foreign land. So it's just in sports that you can feel this. We do, as a sports person, we shed a tear. Whether we smile, whether we lose. And in sports, we learn how to lose gracefully. There's no other field where you actually learn this practically. When we lose, we stand with a head high. When we win, we stand with a head high. This is only in sports.
I think all this you have told about what we learn out of sports, I started thinking all those years a person puts into practice of a game. I think there is a lot of wisdom that they get out of that. With that, just practice. Competing, being in the team, how to better yourself at a skill, and a lot of knowledge gaining happens to a person. And in our society, in our systems, that knowledge is not recognized. It's sad to see that, but even when we get athletes into administration, we think we need to train them into the job we want them to do. They don't have any special knowledge because of years of what they've done. I feel if you were able to connect them with some mentoring formations, they have such great knowledge.
See, I'll tell you, Smit, I can answer this question. See, when I started competing, when I started training, competing for the country, my dad told me one thing. He says, Ronjan, you must study. I said, okay. He says, knowledge is something which nobody can take away from you. In our country, what happens is, when we start doing well, we forget about our studies. So it's very important to have a balance in sports as well as education is concerned. And this is something when people, who are well qualified are into sports and then they come into administration, they'll be able to bring about that change which is required. I'm not saying all sportsperson can go and run a federation or be in administration. There has to be a mix. Like somebody who's, from the corporate world will not understand how a sportsperson thinks. And somebody who's a sportsperson will not be able to actually administer or be good in administration. So we need a mix. And when we have the mix, believe me, it'll be one of the finest mocktails. I won't say cocktails, one of the finest mocktails.
So in your life, I think you have had a great experience in doing this. I don't know a sports person has achieved this. You brought in, matlab, I, I, I want to be informed. I want to be informed about these roles. But the way Manav Rachna University has come in and worked with shooting, with the sponsorships, building a shooting range with the facilities. What is that project and what is the end goal? How do you take a sports person and help them build a career? How do you build a person in academics? What do
So,
they gain out of sports? How
see,
does that happen?
I'll tell you. So basically, the person who owns the university, Amit Bhalla, so we studied together, and he's seen my journey throughout. So when I would be training in Italy, I would have a psychologist, I would have my own physiotherapist and everything. So we sat down once, and he asked me, he says, Ranjan, why is it that you always train in Italy and you have a Italian psychologist and you have an Italian physiotherapist? I said, because we lack the sports science here. People don't understand sports science. Look at the countries like Australia or even China now, America, all these countries, they invest immensely into sports science. The government is doing it now, but it's going to take at least about 10 years from now onwards that once technology comes into sports. Today, believe you me, medals are not won. They are bought. When I say they're bought, means the amount, the more you invest into sports on Sportsperson, the better results are you going to get. So that's an investment. That's why I say that you invest and you will buy medals. Not buy literally, but you're going to invest somewhere.
Yeah.
So this is something which the government has realized now over the last couple of years, probably a decade or so, or maybe more than that. But there's a lot of work which has to be done. So I hope they understand that we need to invest not only in one sport. Now look at cricket, the amount of money which has been pumped in by the corporates. It's crazy. Today I was just watching, there were already 30 crore views, on the match. And by the time India's batting, I think go to 50,000, 50 crores or something views. So this is the amount of, viewership the sport has. And I'm sure like during the Olympics, there were people just talking about Olympics. So what we need to do is we need to focus more on the Olympic sport. At the end of the day, a country like India going to the Olympics and winning 5, 6 medals, with the amount of population we have, that's not great. And those 5, 4 medals become like, oh my God, look at Stanford University. They have 268 medals to their credit on their name, a university in America. You can imagine. Forget about the nation. So we have a long way to go as far as sports is concerned in India. But yes, there is a movement. People have started recognizing Sportsperson. They realize that this is something which is a very noble profession. I would say sports is a very noble profession.
As you were talking about the Stanford University, I thought about Deloitte. I was seeing this campaign that a private consultants company has more Olympic medals than India at Paris Olympic Games.
Yeah.
And,
there you go.
And Ranjanji, I sometimes wonder about this, that in Europe, many good, great, elite sports persons have a professional career. They do academics, they build a career on the side, and they're great in sports. In our country, probably for some reason, either you go into your profession, leave your sport, it's very hard to do the balancing. It's very hard to probably transfer your knowledge from your game into another field. And here we see Deloitte employees from Europe winning so many medals. How would you say about people who want to build career and want to be a sports person? How do they bring in a balance there? Is there a lot missing? Because probably any private company here doesn't even recognize your years spent in sport as a valuable experience. So how do we do that transition? Probably universities can help in that phase. But how does universities give accreditations and facilities to those people, give them some education so they can put something on the CV and then they go into careers? Because a lot of people who spend their lives on the game suddenly miss an opportunity, have an injury, didn't get that government job, are really going to be going down. And parents don't see sports as a profession because of this reason. But if you become a champion, that's great. But if you were left in the middle and you didn't get that government job, you are finished.
So I understand. Smit, sports is to a larger extent in India, it's like a gamble. Okay, you might win everything. You are a world champion, Asian Games, Commonwealth Games, you shoot a world record. End of the day, there is just that one Olympic medal. If you haven't won an Olympic medal in our country, you're not a complete sports person. And what it takes to win an Olympic medal. It's one day in 4 years. That's what we train for. One day, not even one day, a few hours in those 4 years.
Yeah, yeah.
What if you're not well? What if something goes wrong? You wait for another 4 years. What if something same happens? So that few couple of hours in 4 years, imagine what we train for, and anything can happen. We have to start recognizing our sports person at a very young age that this guy can win us a medal. If he doesn't win us a medal, it's okay, but we need to support him. That support is not there. I'm sorry to say, but the support is not there at the moment.
Yeah,
and for that one medal, you get crores and crores. Yeah. And somebody finishes fourth, nobody knows him.
Nobody knows their name.
This boy from Punjab, Arjuna, how many people know his name? He finished fourth just by a whisker.
Yeah, in Paris Olympics. Yeah.
Right? And 2012, Joydeep Karmakar. How many people know Joydeep Karmakar? Finished fourth.
Yeah.
So, these are the things. And every state is showering money on people who won a medal. And somebody's come fourth, nobody is asking about you. Look at in gymnastics. Karmakar, not Karmakar, the girl finished fourth, made it to the finals in India. So
Deepa Karmakar only.
Yeah. So people only recognize medals, but that's not what it should be. Somebody who's done well for the country over a period of time should also get some kind of a recognition.
I think for everyone who will be listening to this, there's a lot to learn, a lot to understand. And Ronjanji, your things were so simple. I think people will maybe easily connect with it because they have the experience, but they didn't have the words for it. So thank you for bringing such valuable insights. Pallavi, do we have a question answer after this?
Yes, of course. Yes, we have for sure. I want to ask a question that, we see a lot of advocates who join politics, right? And when I say politics, it could just be even fighting for their own cause, right? But they work with the system or they kind of question the system, right? And it's very, very visible and vocal. We see a lot of doctors do that. Sportsmen are also professionals, right? So when do you see? Of course, there have been sportsmen, so you are there, many other people who have. But at a large scale, considering we are such a big sporting company and across the country, people feel very strongly for sports and sportsperson come from all over. When do you see a slightly more large scale participation of sports people in the system of politics?
Well, yeah, that's a very tricky question. But to equate with politics, I would say, if you see a lot of sportsperson have tried their hand at politics. But, as a sportsperson, I would just talk about myself. I can't talk about others. We are not politically correct at times. We call a spade a spade. To be in politics, you can't do that. Because on the sporting field, our emotions come out. In politics, your emotions should not come out all the time. You have to be very rational in your thinking and not emotional. We are very emotional people. When we win, we cry. When we lose, we cry. So those are emotions. So there has to be a balance. And not many successful politicians are sportsperson and not many successful sportsperson are politicians. So that mix has to be there. So, I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, sure. Yeah, so it's a long way then.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and with considerable, effort.
If people from theatre can get there, I'm sure as a sportsperson also we can get.
Yes. And in some ways, like you're rightly saying, it's more like an artist, right? Because that person is honing their spots, right? Their skills, they are honing there, so they are emotional, and that is what you see. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. So anyone else has any questions that you would want to ask? Because I have one more, but I would like someone else also to ask a question.
I think people are stuck with this conversation. People don't have probably the depth to, because we don't usually have people of your scale and this understanding come in.
And so it's absolutely, and in some way, this is all creational work right now, Mr. Ronjan, where we are trying to have this at the center of politics. Again, restart. I'm sure at some point there was this.
No. I'm always available.
Politics. And this is a creational work, so this is of great help. My one question to you is particularly to do with gender. right? We saw a big, campaign that, two of our wrestler sisters kind of took it out. Actually, multiple of them, and then some men also supported. And I know some sports people also supported.
Yeah.
But it did not take the kind of scale. Like, usually if there is an artist, the entire industry comes out in support, right? And that we did not see again. So do you think that what value creation can people do in sports such that the voice and the issues of sports people are become the center of conversation in politics?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't agree that people didn't support them and all that, because if you see during those days, everybody was talking about both of them, and other people who joined and were actually protesting against something, which they felt wasn't correct. But rather than just sitting on the road and everything as a sports person, I feel that you're going to conduct yourself in a little manner which is more constitutional. So by going and protesting, it is not something which has been taught to us, while competing for the country. While competing for the country, we've always been told that you have to wear your tricolor on your chest, on your back, and you have to play for the country. So I feel if when we say that, okay, we are playing for the country, the whole country is going to back you, rather than politicizing it. And but yes, I mean, everybody had their reasons. So that's the reason why I feel that it could have been sorted in a better manner, not become a little ugly. And sportsperson should be treated with a lot more respect and culture, I would say.
Yeah. And thank you, Ronjan ji, for this insightful conversation. And as I close in, see, there's a lot. I think everyone who will join this and will see this on Facebook Live or YouTube Live will learn out of this. And at the base of all this, there is this big question: when a sportsperson will be the priority for the society and the system? When those people, not the Olympic gold medalist or the medalist, when the others will be respected and given their due? As you said, Haryana doesn't have a shooting range, but invests the most in medal winning. So I think there's a huge gap and for the journey, and your insights will probably help us think and work out a campaign which can build that awareness and take it to some conclusion. So thank you so much for coming today.
Smit, awareness will be there when the sadhus can play cricket during Mahakumbh. So I'm sure there's a lot of awareness coming about in sports in India.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ronjan. Thank you for joining.